We should start from the fact that Karabakh region, it was always the part of Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, after gaining independence in 1991, immediately after that, Armenia occupied the Karabakh region and adjacent other areas during the war of 1992-93. Up until 94, we had armed clashes until we signed ceasefire. I also would like to underline that United Nations Security Council adopted 4 resolutions where it underlined that Nagorno-Karabakh region belongs to Azerbaijan. And generally, if we looked at the wording of those resolutions, it says conflict in and around Nagorno-Karabakh region of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Anti-terror measures of September 2023, it was the logical consequences and basically finalization of the whole military actions of the Republic of Azerbaijan to restore its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and of course the safety of its citizens. So we have to refer to the Second Karabakh War, when the major operations happened, and then September 2023. I would like also to underline 3 factors. First, the remnants of the illegal regime on the Azerbaijani territories. They refused to negotiate this reintegration process. That's the first. The second, there was no blockade. Azerbaijan offered different alternative routes for delivering cargo and humanitarian aid. They also refused. And third, Azerbaijan side provided all necessary measures for those Armenians who wanted to leave Azerbaijan. So why are these 3 factors important in the context of September 2023 operation? Because now we see and hear accusations from the Armenian side. So the bottom line, the whole Karabakh so-called project, it was irredentist projects to annex Azerbaijani territories, Azerbaijan Karabakh region to Armenia. It failed, and September 2023 was logical conclusion of the action to restore Azerbaijan's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The successful ending of anti-terror measures against the illegal military and separatist establishment in the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan resulted in the restoration of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity and the collapse of the separatist regime. It was extremely important because it relieved Azerbaijan the most painful legacy of the Soviet period. For the past 30 years until the anti-terror measures in September 2023, Azerbaijan was heavily invested in the resolution of this conflict. It was taking a lot of financial resources, political resources, human rights, and etc. It was always #1 issue of Azerbaijan, its government. And therefore, the resolution of the conflict, the restoration of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity and sovereignty within its internationally recognized borders was extremely important for Azerbaijan, for its politics and for its regional standing. And on the other hand, the anti-terror measures was also important in terms of Azerbaijan's domestic politics and in terms of its social implications. Because after the collapse of the separatist regime, Azerbaijani government started rebuilding the towns and villages which were under the occupation of the separatist regime. And today, Azerbaijan is rebuilding these settlements. Azerbaijan is repopulating these settlements with the former IDPs. And it significantly strengthened domestic solidarity in Azerbaijan. And it's, of course, politically important as well. So, on the other hand, one important implication of anti-terror measures was that today, over the past 200 years, it's the first time that there are no foreign troops on Azerbaijan soil. And everyone can understand its political significance. Today, Azerbaijan has full control over its international recognized territories, and it is a historic accomplishment of Azerbaijani people, Azerbaijani government, Azerbaijani society.
I would use the wording of American scholar, Professor Antonio Ambrosio, that Armenia enjoyed international permissive regime from the beginning of the conflict, which allowed them to occupy Azerbaijan's territory. In the 90s, probably some of stakeholders was not so interested in the South Caucasus. There were some other conflicts, the Bosnian War, and generally post-Soviet area was not in the focus of global powers. But lately, I think they just, reconciled with the fact of occupation, and they didn't care much about that. But Azerbaijan never reconciled with the fact of occupation. And of course, if we look at the history of the Middle East, South Caucasus, we can see that there was always the great game, not only in Central Asia, because the term great game usually applies to the Central Asia, but South Caucasus was also part of great game between empires, and that maybe, albeit in a different form, continued after the collapse of the Soviet Union.
The September 2023 anti-terror measures of Azerbaijan against the illegal military and separatist establishment in the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan had enormous implications not only for Azerbaijan, for its domestic politics, but also for regional politics. Number one issue in this context was that it reinforced Azerbaijan's regional standing. Today, Azerbaijan is a country that has restored its territorial integrity through the military means, and today Azerbaijan is a respected member of international politics, international relations. All external powers, it includes Russia, Iran, China, United States, all external powers understand that their plans concerning the South Caucasus, their designs, their policies would not be successful without the support and participation of Azerbaijan. It is extremely important for our people, for our country, because Azerbaijan today is a respected member of international politics. The second important implication of these anti-terror measures for regional politics was related with the fact that it ended with the restoration of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity, and it was the first time in the post-Soviet period that any member of this post-Soviet space succeeded to restore its territorial integrity and defeated the separatist entities within its internationally recognized borders. So Azerbaijan, with the anti-terror measures in September 2023, and of course with the 44-day war before in 2020, set a unique example for other post-Soviet states. And today, Azerbaijan's experience is extensively studied by these countries. They try to emulate Azerbaijan's practice to restore their territorial integrities, to defeat their separatist entities within their international recognized borders. So in that context, Azerbaijan's experience is unique, and it has enormous implications for regional politics.
Well, I think Azerbaijan proved that the international law is the law. The country should abide by the law. Azerbaijan also proved that the Article 51 of the United Nations Charter is valid concept of just war, concept of self-defense, and countries are entitled to use force in order to restore its territorial integrity and sovereignty. I think in some other parts of the world, countries think about this concept, the restoration of justice, restoration of territorial integrity, fighting occupation. We see in other countries like in Ukraine and in Moldova, in Georgia, in the Middle East. Countries won't reconcile with the fact of occupation. So Azerbaijan, if we refer to this modern context, has not done anything beyond international law, beyond what some countries now trying to do to restore its territorial integrity. I think it's the global implication, but also there is important regional implication too, that now Armenia, Azerbaijan can think of peace. Even the leader of Armenia, Pashinyan, said that the Armenia now can mobilize its resources for development its own country, to get rid of this mythical Armenia, which is really extended territory overlapping with other countries, claiming territories of other countries. I think it's also quite beneficial for Armenia. Gray zones are always beneficial for drug trafficking, human trafficking, for all kinds of illegal activities. But then the question why some great powers might be interested in that, because the conflict was always the source of selling weapons and, the classical divide and rule policy, make countries dependent on certain global or regional powers. I think that was the interest behind that. And yes, Azerbaijan also removed one of the biggest gray zones in the South Caucasus.
Armenians' plans were to transform Azerbaijani territories to gray zone, but after liberation of our occupied territories, we ruined Armenians' plans, and now we are transforming all our territories into green zones. As you mentioned, our Karabakh region, East Zangezur and Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic have been declared green energy zones in Azerbaijan, and it's very big opportunity for us to transform these regions into green energy zones using renewable energy potential. Actually, Azerbaijan in general has great potential to develop renewable energy, and I would emphasize especially that 25% of our water resources based in Karabakh region and East Zangezur, and we can use this potential especially to develop hydropower plants. In terms of renewable energy resources, we signed important agreements. For instance, BP will implement the solar power projects in Jabrayil and Zangilan regions. Also, important hydropower plants were implemented by Azerbaijani government, and we finished many projects in Karabakh region. And the plan of Azerbaijan, first of all, to create sustainable development regions, and I can bring an example such as Ağalı Smart Village in Zangilan region. We use the concept of the smart village, smart city there, and according to this concept, we will use renewable energy potential of the region to supply electricity. Also, renewable based infrastructure projects will be implemented in this city, green technologies, and so on. Also, we are going to develop solar, wind, and geothermal renewable energy in Karabakh region. For instance, in Kalbajar, Shusha, we'll use mainly geothermal energy potential. In Fizuli, in Agdam, in Zangilan, Jabrayil, we'll use the solar power, and in Kalbajar, also Shusha, and Lachin will use mainly the wind power, renewable energy based electricity. According to the government sources, Azerbaijani government implemented and finished important hydropower plants such as Gülabirt 8 megawatt hydropower station, Sugovushan 1, Sugovushan 2, and Kalbajar 1 stations. Also, we finished in the Araz River, Khudaferin and Kızgalası renewable-based electricity hydropower projects. You know very well that this year Azerbaijan will host also COP29. This is also a very big opportunity for our country to use this platform in order to increase the share of renewable energy in the country, and especially in Karabakh region, because we want to show the whole world how we are transforming this region from ruins and from the land contamination into green energy zones, into the region with sustainable development. We signed important document with Japanese company TEPSCO in order to develop the concept of green energy zones in the liberated territories of Karabakh and Eastern Gezur, which is very important because this company has very big experience in this sector, and the key aim is to use renewable energy projects in order to supply electricity to this region, also renewable based projects and infrastructure. I think we will use this opportunity to create green energy zones not only in Karabakh or Eastern Gezur in Nakhchivan, but also in other regions of Azerbaijan, because it's very important aim and goal for Azerbaijan to meet sustainable development goals. As you know very well, this year has been announced as Green Solidarity Year in Azerbaijan. This is also Azerbaijani commitment to show that Azerbaijan as a resource-rich country supports also green energy projects, and renewable energy is the key target for government in order to decrease the share of green gas emissions and increase also the share of renewable in the country. And of course, development in Karabakh and in Eastern Gezur shows that Azerbaijan supports not only green energy projects but also sustainable development. And this is actually also the good for the future peace process in the region. And we are implementing very important projects in the country, and Armenia should see these developments in the region and understands that not only Armenia but also the whole world community, that Azerbaijan only supports peace process, reconstruction of liberated territories and transforming these territories from the land contamination territories into the green energy zone based developed territories, also the territories with sustainable development.